even know that to go and watch Oliver Mtukudzi's performances, like people would pay as much as $100. Like that's how much value people placed in his music. Welcome back, you guys. It's me again, and it's time for another video. Makadi. Today we're going to be celebrating the life of Oliver Mtukudzi. That's why I have a guitar with me. I've decided to start a series. Once every month I'm going to be talking about the life of one musician, producer, or somebody who changed music in Africa. And it's not going to be limited to just Zimbabwe. I'm going to look at South African artists, I'm going to look at Zambian artists. So you guys have to tune in. Once a month I'll feature one artist and I'll just look at the lessons that I've learned or something that I think is peculiar about that artist. Guys, I really want to thank you for the love, the affection that you showed me when I released my song Don't Pay. And we'll be having a challenge. You can also take part. I would love for you guys to take part. You record yourself for 1 minute dancing or singing to any part of the song. Then you put it on Instagram and you tag me. Let me take this guy here and put it here because I'm an amateur guitarist. Oliver Mtukudzi is perhaps one of the most influential musicians that has come out of my country, which is Zimbabwe. I wanted to do a tribute to Oliver Mtukudzi, but I did not, I hadn't really conceptualized the idea, like how am I gonna do it? He was such a big person. Like I felt like I could not just come with any kind of cover, like it had to sound a type of way. Like people would have high expectations because it is Oliver Mtukudzi. I remember when I heard that Oliver had passed on, and I just felt a sense of loss. I don't know the guy, I've never met the guy, but through following his music, through listening to him, I felt like I knew him because his music, we played it on weddings, we played it on funerals. I remember singing, lyric to lyric, all his songs. So I felt like I did have a personal relationship with him. He died at the age of 66, was a man with a message. I'm an upcoming musician, and I know a lot of people that watch me are people that are influenced by music, or people that enjoy listening to music, or other musicians. And nowadays, most of the musicians, we are all about the trend, like we want to trend, and sometimes there is really no message behind the song. I know a number of songs that I listen to, and it's just the beat, or maybe it's just the sing-along. It's so trendy, but when you come to think of it, like there's no message. All of Oliver Mtukudzi's songs had a message. Like if you were to take word for word, tear the song down to verse and chorus, you could find a message. And I think that's one of the reasons why he had such a long, influential career in music. I'm actually talking to myself as well. Like whatsoever that drives you, there should be a message behind. And I think that's one thing that is true to all the songs that Mtukudzi released. They all had a message. He was a people's person, and I see that not because of the relationships that he had with artists from my country. He worked with a number of other artists. For instance, Yuma Sekela. The relationship that he had with Yuma Sekela, like I remember that it was on Yu's death that they were saying that they would visit each other. Even when Yuma Sekela died, they even gave Oliver Mtukudzi a slot just to sing. And I remember he sang a very interesting song. It was about friendship. Just a few months after Yuma Sekela died, Oliver Mtukudzi also died. I think it was a year. That just goes to show you that he was a very relational person. And one thing I've learned from the little experience that I have in music, of course, is that we need others. Those people we look up to, like they have people behind them. You'll find that when Tasha releases her single, her album, like the rest of the artists that she has collaborated with, they're always there promoting her music. It's not a one-man band. Like you really need to have the support of others. You really need to be a people's person. And I'm not saying that because I am a people's person, but I'm saying that because it's something that I look at Oliver Mtukudzi's music and I see that this man was very relational. He was good to people. He was loved by people. He built a strong brand. I personally believe that Oliver Mtukudzi reached a stage where people were just listening because it's Oliver Mtukudzi. It's not really about the music, but it's now about the person. It's now about the image. And I believe that every artist wants to build such a big brand that people now follow, because of the brand. Like people are now so loyal because they have built years of trust with you. They are so loyal to your content before they even listen they have already bought the idea. His music was just speaking for itself. People had already, bought into his brand. Another thing I really love about Oliver Mtukudzi is his smile. Like, now that can sound very funny or that can sound fickle to you, but there's something about people who perform and they're smiling. Like, when you smile, it's like you are opening a door to, for people to actually understand where you're coming from, for people to actually, accept you. A smile does so much for stage presence, and I think that's something I also have to learn, to smile, because you can just be in your own emotions and people don't connect. There's a disconnect between you and your audience. Like, your gestures are saying one thing, you're saying another. So it's just a person who was ever smiling. He was a very humble man. In my country there was this instance where a very popular artist, like, this is an artist people love, they adore that particular artist. Like, she was approached by a fan and the fan wanted to take a selfie with them, and she refused. And it was not just like a polite refusal, it was like one of those rude refusals where the person's like, who are you? I don't know you, I don't want to take a selfie with you. And I remember that woman, like, she then went to the internet and she began telling a story, and she was like, I met Oliver Mtukudzi in person and I was pregnant, and he took time out of his, I think it was after a show, and he actually talked to her. Like, that really showed me that Oliver Mtukudzi was a person of the people. Sometimes as artists, especially those that have reached a certain level of success, like, they begin to build a disconnect with their audience by acting as though they are out of reach. He was reachable, he was humble, because it is the people that promote us, it is the people who watch, it is the people who view, it is the people who give us ideas. So it's very important for the audience to feel like they matter to the artist, or to feel like the artist actually takes whatever they have to say seriously. His music was emotional, it was sensual. It's music that comes with a soul. There's that kind of music that has emotion. And when I listened to the songs that he wrote after the loss of his son, like, you could really feel the emotion, you could feel the pain. When you write from a place of emotion, the music, it's got soul, it's got a heartbeat. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that music. Usually sang in Shona. And that made him an ambassador for UNICEF. That made him get that doctorate. He was actually named a doctor even though he didn't do a PhD. And like, he became an ambassador for the Shona culture. His music, like, it showed so much pride in culture. Through his music, people began to see, like, a different Zimbabwe. People began to see the culture that the Shona people have. It's good to sing in English. Yes, like, we want to be international. I also want to be international. But I really love it when artists, like, sing in their vernacular, sing in their native tongues. Like, there's something beautiful about that. Like, there's something that shows that you pride yourself in your language. And mind you, like, Sir Ferguson, he actually listened to Oliver Mtukudzi, prided himself in singing Shona. He embodied the Shona culture, and that's one thing that I really loved about him. Guys, do you even know that to go and, like, watch Oliver Mtukudzi's performances, like, people would pay, like, as much as $100. Like, that's how much value people placed in his music. He was a brand. Everything was business. In as much as I'm saying we should invest in the artistic side of music, but I love that with Oliver Mtukudzi I could also see the business side of music. His music was a business. You fund your own videos, you fund your own recordings, you fund everything yourself. And right now the Pakarepo Arts Center is still there. His records are still selling, and I get excited when I meet artists whose music is actually being sold somewhere. You actually see that this person is getting returns from their music. It's inspiring, it's motivating, because most people look at music as a hobby. I could actually look at Oliver Mtukudzi's life and say that, he lived solely on music, and he did quite well. He was able to go places with music. He sowed back into his community. He began working with, young artists. I remember just before I graduated, we attended this UZ event where one of the artists that Oliver Mtukudzi was mentoring was playing. Guys, the chords that he was hitting, it was like I was listening to Oliver Mtukudzi, but just with a different face. Like, he really invested in mentoring others. He really invested in giving back to the community. That's something that I find to be peculiar, for you to get the platform to actually ask that person to mentor you, it's hard. There are a few other, renowned artists that are mentoring others, but there are very few. He was, investing time and energy into, building the next generation of musicians. This man, he was not just about himself. One thing that really impresses me is his writing process, like how he got his lyrics, because they had so much value, they had so much meaning, but it was the kind of music that after listening to it, you really think deep about your life. Like, what is this guy saying? The fact that his music lives on, I have episodes when I get so much in my feelings and I just want to listen to music from home, and I will definitely listen to Oliver Mtukudzi. I still continue to listen to Oliver Mtukudzi. I've been listening to his songs for more than 4 years, the same songs. It still sounds the same like I heard in 2010, and that shows you that he was able to create music that stays, not just music that will trend today and it's gone tomorrow. I feel like that's something profound. I don't know, like I really have mad respect for Oliver Mtukudzi. So I think those are some of the things that when I think of Oliver Mtukudzi and his music that I think I learned. So thank you so much. Please don't forget to do the challenge. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Please do subscribe. We are almost on 1,000 subscribers.